Joining me as always, my co-host, columnist for the Belleville Intelligencer, Colin Mackay.
Thanks, Paul.
And our very special guest, I am so pleased, especially with everything that's going on right now, that our special guest this week is President and CEO of Quinte Healthcare, Stacey Daub.
Hi, thanks so much for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to it.
Could not be a better time. I mean, there have been so many things, and thank you for taking time out because, I mean, it has been so busy. And we do want to talk about COVID and as well all the things that are happening at all four sites at Quinte Healthcare. But first, there are a lot of people probably, and we'll get right into it, who don't necessarily know what Quinte Healthcare is. I mean, people might go to the hospital, but they don't see what happens behind the scenes. They don't know how the hospitals work together, and they don't know how the whole organization works. So can you give us a basic overview just of what Quinte Healthcare is?
Sure. So first and foremost, Quinte Healthcare is 4 community hospitals that are embedded in Bancroft, Trenton, Picton, and in Belleville. And in Ontario, I think the biggest jewel in many communities is to have a strong, vibrant community hospitals. Community hospital and in Quinte, in the Quinte Hastings Prince Edward County, we have 4. And I think the incredible opportunity of the Quinte Healthcare is to bring those 4 together to serve the community kind of in tandem in an integrated way. So we're all very interconnected. Each hospital has its own emergency department, its own medicine units, but the value of having us connected is that we can make sure that we have resources that perhaps in a smaller hospital you might not be able to have, or that you're able to offer services closer to home. So I'll give you a great example. Endoscopy is a great example of many people need that procedure at some time in their life. And we're able to offer it in a number of different communities. And if there's one thing I've heard from all the communities as I've been out and about and meeting people is that care closer to home is really important to people. And having a strong hospital and a variety of services close to where they are is really important. So we have endoscopy in Picton and we have endoscopy in Belleville. We have other types of services like ophthalmology, which is a fairly highly specialized program. And we have that situated in Trenton so that we can really build a big, vibrant program for our community. So we are really thinking about how do we build really strong local hospitals, and then how do we think about developing regional services so that the entire community really gets care close to home. So it might be in your community or it might be in the community adjacent to you. And so that's the way I've been thinking about the future. But it's important. I think there have been a lot of questions in the past about the individual hospitals and whether they should exist or not, and controversy. And I believe strongly that all 4 hospitals are incredibly important to Quinte Healthcare and incredibly important to their community. And we want to build on that and think about not only the vibrancy in an individual community, but how the strength of the 4 of them can serve our communities better.
So Stacey, do you ever worry about overlap between services? Like at different hospitals, like Trenton was worried about their emergency.
Yeah.
To give you an example.
Well, I'll give you the quick note on that. There's no way Belleville could ever manage all the emergency departments of the region. I think both of you know that this region is growing for a whole host of reasons. It's become a retirement community. It's also become a community where families have chosen to move and live. We have many military families here. So there's no way Belleville could ever manage the emergency visit. So there is an overlap in that way.
But let's talk about, lastly, the mental health impact, because people know in their own homes what it's been like, and we always hear what it's been like, but as someone who gets to work with the frontline heroes we have had dealing with us day in and day out every day, what kind of impact has COVID had on staff morale at the 4 sites at Quinte Healthcare?
So I think it's been an incredible range of impacts, and it depends when. But I would say when we've had some very vocal staff who've talked about the impact to them personally, it's been exhausting. And I think the one thing about healthcare workers is they have everything you're experiencing, or the people who are listening, right? You have all your personal experiences of, whether it's your grandchildren can't go to school, or, worried about people having COVID, the changes if your husband owns a business, and so they have the whole range of personal experiences, and then they come into the workplace and they have such extreme set of circumstances. And the one thing, in addition to PPE, for you guys, how comfortable do you find masks, right? Mm-hmm. So you wear masks. These guys wear masks. They wear shields. They have to wash. Constant washing of their hands. So it is a burden in a way and a magnitude that I can't even describe. But I think the thing that has been most impactful to me when I watch, healthcare has always been hard, right? They see a lot of hard things. There's obviously some joyous parts of working in healthcare, but there's some really hard parts. And part of the way that people buffer themselves from that is all of the collegial. So nurses have buffet lunches and they laugh together and they go out together. And in COVID, you couldn't eat with one another.
Yeah.
People were in the really tough times, people were going out to their car and eating on their own. So you are in a very hard place all day. You're concerned about, in the earlier times about, taking COVID home to your family, about giving COVID to a coworker. You're eating alone in the car. Very, very isolating. And I think there's nothing worse than being lonely at work. And so that's the thing that I think has hit the hardest. The other thing that's been really hard is just the being short-staffed. So, I often talk to, whether it's nurses or other staff who work, one of the things that they'll tell you is that they never feel like they're doing a good job. And for any of you who have worked and felt like you haven't done a good job, there's nothing worse.
Yeah,
you came into nursing or you came in to be a lab tech or someone else, and you never feel like you're really doing a good job and getting that sense of satisfaction. So it's been multiple, the impacts on them. The other one that people will talk about is the fact that, especially in some waves, when they're having this experience in the hospital and they go out and it's like nothing's happening. They say it's very difficult, right? It's like living in two different universes. You have this world and then you come out. And we've had some ICU nurses and others who've spoken very publicly about what that's felt like to them. Having said all that, one of the opportunities that we've really used is this idea of really trying to get our communities behind our teams. And so we've done it throughout all the waves. It started everything from, pot banging to musicians. One day I looked out the Belleville Hospital window when I was new here, and there were people up with big signs of hearts cheering people on. We've had meals delivered. We've had cookies. We've had schools do videos, whole classes talking and doing very personal videos and talking about hope and all the things that are incredible. And recently we had something called the Wall of Hope, where we asked people to kind of contribute their ideas. But the one, we just did something really recently that I thought was actually the best part of my week this week. For Valentine's Day, we asked staff to think about people within the organization that meant something to them. And I don't know how many submissions we had, maybe 500, where people talked about coworkers who had made a difference during this period of time. And I got the chance to read through them the other day. We put them out on Valentine's Day. They're beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. People just having the chance. And so we're trying to think of ways. Gratitude has a big impact on mental health,
and being thankful.
So, yes, for anybody here today, if you just use this afternoon, if you actually just call one person and thank them, not only do they get a big benefit from you actually thanking them, but you actually also personally get a big benefit. And so we are trying to think of as many ideas as possible to support people and show them our gratitude and our thanks.
And sure. Let's start with the Picton Hospital. We
so
talked
exciting.
about that before. Prince Edward County Hospital, I should say,
yes.
Which will be located in Picton.
That's correct.
Massive project, and it's been moving forward steadily, but people still doubt whether it's going to happen. That doubt is in the community.
Yeah.
How excited about you where it is, and how definite are you that it's going forward and soon?
I'll say first of all, 100% that project is moving along. So we just submitted 3.2, the next stage. To the ministry. I am very hopeful that we're going to hear in short term that next stage has been approved. The thing that people don't understand, and I think people have no idea how long these infrastructure projects take. They take a long time. The public is frustrated. I'm frustrated with the project. I would love for it to be much faster. But we are well on our way. We have all the architectural drawings. You can go on our website or Prince Edward County Memorial Hospital Foundation and see all the artist rendering.
But it also deals with, this is where we talk a little bit more about you.
Okay.
One of the things you said you're passionate about and which engages the passion of the community are the hospital foundations. So, of course, people don't know the equipment that's used on a regular basis is not paid for.
That is correct.
That has to be raised in the community. The hospital foundations do so much to make that happen. Tell us about what an integral part of the entire puzzle they are.
Okay, so one of the wonderful blessings up here is I have 3 foundations and a development fund, and they are integral. We actually couldn't run the hospital, we couldn't deliver the services without their partnership. Not only are they helping, Prince Edward County Memorial Foundation is helping us build a new hospital with their Back the Build campaign, which has been incredible. We also rely on the foundations to bring in, replace aging equipment, to expand services. So I'll give you a few examples from each area. So in Belleville, we've had an incredible year, both in that we had a big ICU expansion, and that's been, it's been game changing for COVID. If we didn't have those additional beds, people would have actually been shipped out, right? So imagine your loved one needing that type of care and having to go and be an hour or further away. So Belleville actually partnered, and we've had some other foundations contribute to that, Trenton in particular. So ICU expansion. We have a very important clinical diagnostic tool called a nuclear medicine machine that Belleville has just done an amazing job on fundraising for, and is doing that. Let's talk about North Hastings. North Hastings, they're just there all the time. We just vital monitors, the monitors that you use to monitor people were out of date. They've just replaced all those. And in North Hastings, people probably don't know this, our 3 foundations in Prince Edward County, Belleville, and Trenton are all professional organizations with amazing leaders. In North Hastings, it's all volunteers.
Wow.
So the North Hastings Development Fund, led by Kim Bishop, incredible. All volunteers who work. One thing to know about our foundations, they have a very important partner right beside them, and that's the auxiliaries. Many people don't know, but our auxiliaries, which are our volunteer services, people often think of hospital volunteers as the people who might greet you at the door or support you in the hospital. They are one of our biggest fundraisers. So our volunteer services also do a great deal, and they're really important partners with the hospitals.
Lastly, we have another minute, but only a minute. So tell us a little bit about you, because when you moved here and took over this job a year ago, it wasn't just you. Of course, you brought a teenager in tow.
Yes, I did. So I have 2 children, and have a daughter who's at University of Guelph, and she's coming home. I'm picking her up on Thursday for Reading Week, which will be great. She's going to come back up to the county. I have a son who is 17, but came here when he was 15. Quite a shocker to lift up and move to new communities. He goes to Centennial, has loved it, was on the kind of winning football team this year, never played football before, but they embraced him, and that's been great. And my husband is a clinical psychologist by background, and so supports people with their mental health. And we I'm from a large family. There's 5 of us. We're all kind of spread across Ontario. I miss all of them desperately. We haven't seen each other as much as we would like to. I have a 94-year-old mother-in-law who I absolutely adore and have a lot of fun with. And she called me on Sunday and she said, "Hey, are you going to watch that Snoop at the Super Bowl?" I'm like, "Who? Snoop?" She goes, "Yeah, he's pretty good. It's the halftime show." So I have the best mother-in-law ever. She's a weaver. She's a card shark.
We are glad to have your extended family and especially you at the helm at Quinte Healthcare.
You.
This has been Beyond the Politics.